Environmentalists trying to restore the salmon and steelhead population in the Snake River are celebrating tonight. New reports released by the White House argue for the removal of dams on the lower Snake River.
Idaho conservationists have long advocated for the removal to help restore salmon runs onto the river. But some of those who would say the dams should stay, they believe the report doesn't take every element of removal into consideration. Tristan Lewis here joins us now with more on this. And Tristan, walk us through some of these discussions that people on both sides are having right now. And it's been heated for a long time.
Yeah, Brian and Morgan, the U.S. government has spent $17 billion to recover the salmon population in the Snake, and they've used fish ladders along with other measures, but haven't had much success. The community says there's no silver bullet to restore salmon and steelhead, but they say these new reports from the White House outline a starting point.
Salmon and steelhead are in real trouble. They're listed for protection under the Endangered Species Act.
Idaho Conservation League has long focused on restoring salmon and steelhead trout in central Idaho.
Once we had millions of fish, and now if we're lucky we have thousands, sometimes less than 10,000 wild fish returning to the entire state.
Justin Hayes, executive director of the ICL, says the state saw fewer fish after dams were built in the Snake River. Reports from the White House Tuesday said the 4 dams on the lower Snake River may need to be removed to help restore the salmon's runs. He says they paint a clear picture of a path forward.
If dam removal isn't the centerpiece of a holistic recovery plan, the plan can't succeed.
If all 4 Snake River dams are taken out, it would be the largest dam removal project in U.S. history.
It needs to happen, and it needs to happen soon if we're going to reverse these trends.
However, not everyone agrees with the report's findings.
For us, it didn't feel very objective. It felt a lot more political, and we'd like to understand more about how they came to those conclusions.
Kurt Miller is the executive director of Northwest River Partners. He points to scientists who claim ocean warming caused by climate change is the greatest threat to salmon survival.
Juvenile salmon that are going downstream and making their way to the ocean, but then they don't come back, and not in the kind of numbers that you need to have sustainable harvests and things like that.
Unless there were major breakthroughs in technology, Miller says the removal of the dams could burn more fossil fuels and threaten the reliability of the electric grid. He says customers could ultimately pay 65% more for electricity.
I mean, in an era where we have such, tremendous inflationary pressure already, that's just not acceptable.
But Hayes doesn't see it that way.
Through good planning and investment in infrastructure, we can replace the energy from these dams with climate-friendly, fossil fuel-free energy distributed across the Northwest. It's affordable.
Idaho Governor Brad Little also weighed in on today's reports, saying in part, quote, "It is disappointing the Biden administration would release any report on dam breaching that does not take into account Idaho's considerations in the Columbia Basin," end quote. He called for the White House to take a look into solutions the Idaho Salmon Work Group has came up with that support salmon, the economy, and communities. And Morgan and Brian, White House leaders say they're not endorsing any single-term solution like breaching dams. But again, this is just kind of what their science found in those reports.
Well, this is a decades-old conversation, and there's no easy solution. I mean,
and there's no one solution.
There's no one solution as you talk about all the different sources of power and electricity and population issues. This is a big problem.
Yeah, I was talking to Justin Hayes. He says he's been with the Conservation League for more than 20 years, and they've been having the same conversation for as long as he's been there.
And it's not over anytime soon. All right, Tristan Lewis, thank you.